Thanks for coming out, and nice to see you. I think you're going to have a great session with Caleb. Caleb and I go way back.
We do.
Yeah. And what can I say? He's got lots of nouns. Do you know this word nouns? Yeah? It's he's a bit canny. Do you know this word canny? He's a bit canny as well. He's living up in Birmingham now. He's back in the day he was here in Surrey. He was a student, and he's just making inroads into the industry like big time. Like he's doing all the stuff. He's not just doing some stuff. He's doing all the stuff, and it's really special because our history and the time that we spent together. So what I think he's going to take you through is a bit of bass playing, a bit of industry stuff, getting you sort of insights into maybe what you'll be doing in the next couple of years. And so I'm going to go fetch him a coffee because he needs one.
Dude.
It's early, right? Like, what time is it? It's like, this is
early, man.
Silly. 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for this planning? I don't know, but they have a serious talking to. But Caleb's going to take you through some stuff, and I think it's going to be awesome. I'm going to fetch him a coffee.
Amazing.
And then I'll come back, and we'll. And don't forget, we have the Chris Waltham stuff at 11, so it'll be a little bit tight for us to get from here to there, but it'll all happen. It'll be great. So over to Caleb. Give him another round of applause because he's really cool. I'll get you a coffee. Straight black coffee.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I want to make sure this is the most value for you guys here as possible. Two things basically today I want to help you guys or share is essentially how to make your playing a little bit nicer. I think it will apply for all instruments, how you can view that, and then also how you can get more work and actually get paid, because ultimately, it's all well, we do this for fun, but ideally we want to pay bills with it, and it's not an easy industry to pay bills with, not because the money isn't there, and I think that's the kind of key shift or thing to understand. It's not because there isn't work, it's just that the work is hard to get. So we can either do a straight hour talking and going through the stuff, which I'm more than happy to do, or we can do a bit of playing as well. What do you guys think? Do a little bit of playing. Let me give you a bit of backstory first. So I used to be a student here. I came here in 2015, I believe. Studied bass. I got through my first year and thought about dropping out because I'm like, this is just not working out for me. Like this feels hard. Like I don't see how I can do it, and I kind of committed to pushing through that final year and just gave it all, and then I started to see some things move. Now, I've ended up playing a reasonable bit of artist work now, so I toured with Emily Sandé for just over a year and a half on that gig. I've done some work with Perry Edwards, new artist called Elliot James Ray, who some of you may or may not be familiar with, but he's blowing up on TikTok, which is something we'll talk about because that's where a lot of the new artists are kind of getting their deals from. It's from having an audience first, so we'll kind of talk about that side of things. But my start was actually in media. So my first kind of professional gig was being a feature musician in a film with Idris Elba. Now, it sounds great, but essentially I was a background feature, but because of who I'd met on a different gig, I got put into an agency that basically sorts musicians for TV and film, so you don't get people playing violin bows upside down in people's adverts and films, because you see that stuff all the time. Oh, some familiar faces. Step in. So I was just saying, my start actually, and my inroads into artist work came through media. Yeah, so I did this film. There's so many directions we can go, because when you then start talking about pay and making sure you get paid, you guys need to be clued up, because you will be walked over, you will be rubbed into the floor and forgotten about if you're not clued up and you're not switched on. No one is going to make sure you get paid. you need to make sure you get paid, and you also need to have an idea of what you should be getting paid, because there are many times where people will, if they think they can, there's many times where certain things might get conveniently left out of your contracts or pay. So that's a conversation for another time. But where was I going with this? I did that. That was just as I was graduating, and then I saw a random post on Facebook saying we're looking for musicians of all kinds for a project. Email X person, and the email address was like lucy@bbc.co.uk. So I'm like, okay, this seems interesting. No idea. My email to them was literally, I have no idea what I'm putting myself forward for, but I'm a bass player. This is my website, my Instagram handle. Would love to hear more. And long story short, it ended up me playing in the pits for CBeebies pantomime. So it was a pantomime, Christmas pantos and stuff like that. But they do it in about September, October, and it gets filmed and then put on TV. So I did that, and turns out TV and media work pays very nicely, and the contracts are way better. But so I was spoiled in that my kind of first professional gig, well, second now, but at this point I hadn't been paid for the first one. So yeah, we'll come to that. Was really like, I saw how it's supposed to work, and they follow MU to the book. So if you guys aren't members of MU, you really should, especially whilst you're a student, because I think you pay about a tenth of what I pay. You pay £20 a year, I pay 200. So, but it's worth it, because when I got onto West End stuff, they really helped us out, because we had to have some conversations, let's say, to make sure that when the show came into the West End, that our contracts were appropriate. This is not something we can all do in this talk. This is a long page, but ultimately, that show I did with CBeebies, when I get there, they go, oh, let's get him on stage. So I went from playing in the pits for a CBeebies show to now I'm like, I'm doing kids TV, I'm put up in a costume, and this is my first professional gig. So I'm sitting here like, is this about, am I about to tank my music career before it's even started by stepping in CBeebies? Step in, guys, come in. And that was a genuine concern of mine. I'm like, am I about to tank my career and chances of ever doing more professional artist work if I'm now doing this CBeebies stuff? And long story short, the answer is no, because I then get, I'm trying to remember the right order of this. I then 3 months later get asked to go on tour with Mr. Tumble. And yeah, it's exactly who you're thinking of, Justin Fletcher. So we went tour bus with Mr. Tumble, and in fact, some of you know Toby Drummond. I got his kid in to see the show and meet Mr. Tumble, so he's now forever. Yeah. But you don't realise how big of a star they are. It's just not in our awareness. Like, the meet and greets were around the building, and he had a Beat the Street tour bus. So is that something you guys are interested in, like tour stuff, what that stuff looks like? Because that side of things can be very different too, and depending on the scale of what you're working at and who you're working with, it's going to feel very different. It's going to feel very different, and it can potentially pay very different. So I want you guys to be kind of thinking about questions as we go through this, and if you have any questions as I'm talking, just pop a hand up and we'll go there. But to give you context, how much does a typical gig pay? How much do you think? I'm curious.
Like a touring gig?
Or a gig. What do you think you should be paid for a gig?
£150, £200 minimum.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
That's like, I'm talking about like each, like say if you're in a band of four,
Yeah.
like each get like, 150 quid maybe.
Yeah, I mean the real answer is it depends, but yes, it's like the truth of the matter is when you're building yourself up, you take what you can get, alright? But once you start getting to a certain point, you should be like the real that kind of gig fee range. I want to be fair here. You should be 150 to 300 easy. Maybe, and again, this is highly unlikely to happen through original music. That's the nature of it. Unless you've already built an audience and you can monetize an audience, you're unlikely to get that through original music. So you guys need to decide, instrumentalists in the room, you need to decide, okay, well, am I focused on my originals music or my friend's originals music, or am I trying to get paid? Because you can't get frustrated at your friends in the originals band or your own originals band for it not paying, when that's just the nature of it. Unfortunately, the world we live in now, the audience comes first. But when you're now stepping into cool, you're doing function work, because that's where a lot of you guys are gonna start earning some bread, basically corporate work. Yeah, minimum. I don't want to hear you guys are going out on the road for function gigs for 100 quid. Get started, fine, but like that should be minimum 150. Really, I'll say this. There's plenty of work out there in the 200 to 400 range, and there's once you get established and you hit a certain point, there's a decent amount of work out there in that 500 to 600 a gig mark. And that pays better than a lot of artist stuff. Yeah. Like, if you're doing artist touring work, even with pretty large artists, your day rate is realistically going to be between £200 to £400. Now, I don't know if that's more or less than you expected. Where is that about where you expected? Is it more? Is it less?
It was a bit more. I'd say.
Well, I think it depends if you're like a session, if you're like either a session musician for hire or like an actual pod band. I don't know if it works any differently between the two. Depends on what you.
I'm talking about session stuff.
You're talking about session stuff.
I'm talking about session stuff. What I'm saying is basically originals projects work differently. How they're monetized work differently. But I'm saying now, if you're getting onto a gig, and that's basically it's established, you know, it's a name you know of. I don't want to hear you lot going out for 150. Really, I don't want to hear you lot going out for £200 a night for an established artist, not on the gig night. Now, there's kind of two ways it will typically work. On tour, you will have. You'll typically either get a flat day rate, so gig day is the same, travel day is the same, rehearsals is the same. What tends to happen more often is that you'll have a gig show fee, which tends to be the most, a rehearsal fee, which tends to be a little bit lower. I don't like this. Rehearsals is more work, it's more time, it's more effort, but it's about how they monetize it. Yeah, there's you take a lot of stick in this industry, so you need to know where your lines are and kind of hold your boundaries with certain things, and sometimes that means turning down or getting kicked off a gig. Sometimes that means that, because you've got to remember, if you're going on tour, you might be on the road for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or more, or lots of days. You're blocking out of your diary in advance. Every time you say yes, you're saying no to any other work coming in. Yeah? So you need to remember that, and then if that money's not good for you to be saying no to all those future dates, and then you're in a situation where you're invoicing after the tour, you need to find out this stuff before you start. What if your dates are 40 days apart between the first gig and the last gig, but actually they take up most of your weekends, and you can't invoice until after the gig is done? And then payment terms are 30 days. And then they're late on those 30 days payment. What are you going to do about your rent or mortgage in between that? Like, that's the realities of it. But you need to know what these details are. And you know, when you've kind of gone through the mill a little bit, you can kind of know that when you go into this, you're like, right, okay, cool. I need to kind of check, you know, if it is this, are we getting a midterm payment? Like, so you should do. Not everyone will, but you should do. Or they won't necessarily offer it, but if you ask, and really that's what the MD should be making the case for. This is where having an MD makes a difference too. It's not just about the music, it's about looking after the band, and having an MD that cares about you guys as well makes a world of difference. Because the film gig that I was saying was my first gig, how long do you think it took me to get paid for that?
Well, I'm guessing it was a while. Or no?
A year?
It felt like a year.
Oh,
For 5 months from finishing the gig, chasing it, I was calling this guy, my contact. He basically started like airing my calls, and I'm like, I'm gonna call you every day until you tell me what's going on. I'm like, right, so invoice isn't paid. What's going on with the money? Can't tell me. Okay, who do I need to speak to? I can't give you their contacts. I'm like, okay. You set your case there, mate. You're the person. And basically, there was a change in the contract because initially, you're good. Initially, we were supposed to be miming, right? But what they ended up doing was recording audio from us on the day that they ended up using. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, what did I know? I didn't know how much difference it was going to make. We had a change of contract because of that, and that's what happened. So it went from being about £200-ish for the mining day to about, I think, about £2,000. It basically 10x pay. Just same amount of work. And this is why I say there is money in the industry. There is money in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. You just have to be aware and open to it. But it's all well and good me saying that, because we all know it's all well and good for me when I've got a bit of a CV now. You know, it's a lot easier for me to get work and get gigs and kind of move in these circles. It's like, how do you get in that? Everyone's heard that it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's not even the who you know, because they have to want to work with you. So how do we get from student at ACM with no paid gigs, or no paid gigs that really contributing, yeah? How do we push past that point? What do we do? And I've kind of had a long think about this, and I've spoke to a lot of people, a lot of other people who are gigging now, in terms of what's worked for them basically, and broke it down into 4 steps. Some of you back here have heard these 4 steps before, but there's basically only 4 areas you can and need to improve to get more work. If you're not getting the work you want, these 4 areas you will be where you're falling short. So, first area, which is probably the most obvious one, is being good, right? Now, it goes without saying, there's a certain standard. I think where we go wrong a lot of time is that we get good at the wrong things, or maybe focus on the parts that actually aren't the best bits that get you paid. Yeah, so we can chop around the kit, we can throw all the licks we want in the world. When you're playing, if your timing isn't solid, and what I mean by solid is, this is the one hack for every musician in the band. If you just focus on getting your playing locked in to 16th notes and understanding and feeling the difference of 16th notes, your playing will improve massively, and you will sound like someone people want to hire. And I'll tell you, that's exactly what it is when I hear, because I just think of drummers and guitarists a lot, because that's who I tend to work with. Metronome. In fact, let's see.
song. I don't.
So already, the groove is wonky. Wonky if you want to call it that. But your 16th note feel is what you need to look into. Whether you're a guitarist or a drummer or a bass player, because bass is what I do. But because you can have a very straight 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, which might I'm naturally still, I'm fighting it because I can hear it and I can feel it. But it's that, and it's being able to be consistent with your feel. So everyone's gonna have their natural way that they swing, but being consistent with what that feel is that you're playing. But you then might have a much more swung, and being able to lock into that. So you might have a much more swung 16. A 3, a 4, 1, a 2, a 3, a 4.
Let me drag that loop so it actually keeps looping instead of giving me 4 bars rest.
And I'll show you an example actually. Billie Jean. I don't think this is the right key, but straight. Locked. My job as a bass player and every musician should be to get people's heads and feet moving. And I saw it as it was happening, but hear the difference. Straight. I'm doing staccato still, so now I'm gonna slug it a bit because now my 16 don't feel a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3 and a 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. So any other thing I want to add into that, for me, I'm hearing that E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. So already me saying that and counting it, you can feel the bounce in what I'm saying, right? And if I want to swing it even more, to go really extreme, you need to have to feel whatever it is you're playing in your head before you touch the instrument. And I think you get that, and then you're actually locked in that with what you're playing, whether it's pop, rock, hip hop, punk. You know the feel you're going for, even if it's really ahead of the beat, but you know what that feel is before you're playing and you're committed to that. That's what can really make things feel nice. And then for fun, I can just add a bit of slug to it, like I got some tape attached to my fingers and my fingers are just delaying on the strings a little bit. I'm not slowing down. Because what a lot of people do when they go for this neo soul, J Dilla sound, is they slow down and the song slows down. And what it is that, especially with hip hop, beat 1. If sometimes it's like a 2 bar, 4 bar, or even 8 bar sequence, but beat 1 is the key one that you're on. And then you got room to move. You know, key 1 on 1, you can move. MD or the people that are going to hire you, they want to know that you're solid underneath what they're doing and that you're going to fit into what they're doing and carry it, because that's essentially what we're doing. And for the guitarists in the room, I'm telling you now, if you are a guitarist and you just nailed that from a rhythmic point of view, you'll get way more work. Way more work. Every function band will want to hire you. Every artist will want to have you underneath it.
Sorry to
perfect.
interrupt.
This is my energy right here.
Look, nice. I promised Caleb a coffee.
That's
It's
it.
hot,
Thank
so
you,
don't burn.
Perfect.
Don't let him burn his tongue, so then he won't talk.
Yeah.
But nice to see you guys. Tilly, hello. I won't interrupt any further, Caleb.
No, it's good.
But it's
It's
all
good.
well, yeah? Everything's fine.
It's, well, you tell me.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Give Caleb a round of applause.
Is that useful?
I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because the 4 areas, being good. We focus on the wrong things. You need to know rough idea of what sort of work you want to get. Rough idea, and you need to be able to identify what is it that they're actually looking for. Now, the reason this is important is if we're working on the wrong skills, or even demonstrating the wrong skills, you're gonna unintentionally make yourself not appealing to work with, because they're not seeing that. Yeah. So the next thing I like to say is, no one's gonna hire you if they don't know you exist, or they forget you exist. So you could be the best player in the world if the people who have the gigs that can pay you do not know that you're there and do not know that you're playing. You can't get more work, right? So then we need to be seen, right? The second key is visibility, being seen. How do we do that? Where can we do that? We have to build strategies around that, and those strategies are always going to change, but it's this mentality of, cool, I need to build my skill set, I need to actually identify the skill sets for the type of work I want to do that are useful and develop them. Then I need to be seen, you know. Okay, maybe I've got the skill sets down, and you know, actually, maybe some of you in this room are at the level where you can be getting £100 more per gig, but you just are not in those right circles, or not being seen by people who can give you that work. So, a few kind of quick ideas on how to be seen more. One, Tori's laughing at the back because he knows that I'm on his case already about this.
Yeah.
But is obviously, most of you know, social media. Yeah, we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I like getting paid for work. So, you can spend all day, all night at jam nights trying to get that one gig. But the reality is, you consistently post the content of you doing the work you want to get. So if you want to get more function stuff, you need to be posting you playing stuff that appeals or sounds like, when I watch that video, I go, I want this drummer, bassist, singer, guitarist on the gig with me. That's what you got to optimize for. But then that also takes a level of awareness and self-awareness to, it's not what you think they want, it's what they actually want on the gig to push through with that. So, perfect. When I was a student, I just decided, right, I'm just doing covers. I'm doing covers on YouTube. It does work. Is it cheesy? Yes. By the way, you might have to post for a year before it works for you. You might do. And the truth is, if you're really posting and you're going to the events, the in-person stuff like that, you know, I don't want to sell any more dreams. You might actually just need to work on that skill set a little bit more. But I will tell you this, forcing yourself to post is one of the fastest ways to get better. You can't lie to yourself, and the video doesn't lie. You have to watch it back before, you're gonna watch it back before you post it, and that's a reality of where you're at right now. And by doing that, you will practice more. Yeah, like it's a kind of like tough love strategy, but it works. I've seen people come up through. There's a singer. I think I can't remember if she studied vocals or creative artist who used to go here, and she just used to put up these videos of her doing like production and singing videos. Whether I think it started off being covers and then kind of shifted into her own stuff. And doing that for like a year, and it still wasn't really getting a lot of traction. But I clocked it, and I'm like, I respect the hustle, really respect the hustle and the grind of it. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing one of her songs on like, because I'm a car person, so I follow a lot of car pages and that sort of thing. I see one of her videos used on like a reel about cars. One of her songs, the audio from it, and when I'm like, oh, that's it. And then it happened again. I'm like, there's another video doing this. I'm like, oh, this sound, her song is doing the rounds in the car scene. And then it moved from the car scene to something else. And then it was everywhere. Literally everyone. Some of you may know of Kenya Grace. It's the strangest track. She did that, and like from that, she's now been signed. Signing is not everything. It really isn't. But conversation for another day. But anyway, because she built that audience now, all of a sudden, the labels are at her neck. And she's done last year, because a keys player, Z, that I work with, is now doing like playback and MDing for her. And they were just on tour for like a year straight, pretty much. Like she's on a break now because it was just that intense in like America, I think out in Asia, Japan, Europe, loads of Europe festivals. And if she had stopped on that posting, or she didn't do those videos, there's who knows what would have happened, but there's a high likelihood that wouldn't have happened. And this is happening more and more and more and more and more. But the good news is you don't need to get to 100,000 followers to get paid. You don't even need a lot of followers, you just need the right people to see it. So I want to shift your mindset on how you view posting. Yeah? And I'm going to start by asking a question. Why are you posting in the first place? What is the purpose? And this is an open question. Go.
To be honest, I just enjoy playing. Like that, and I just record it, and then
Okay.
and then it is. I would be playing either way. So like, I'd rather just get it recorded
Mm-hmm.
and then post it rather than not. I think
Yeah.
it's because there's something out there, you know,
So, okay. Why do you want to have something out
like a
there?
portfolio sort of thing, I guess.
Okay. What's the portfolio for?
Sending out to like, I that's the next bit. I don't know who would you then like send it to, or like for people to.
No, I mean like
I suppose social
what's the
media,
purpose of
people are gonna see
what's
it.
the purpose of your portfolio?
To sort of demonstrate the skill set.
And why do you want to demonstrate?
So I can get some work. Yeah.
Right. See, this, and you see how far we have to go asking the
Yeah.
question before you actually say, like, you make the click that the purpose of doing the video, getting the content up there, is actually to get work, right? So now we're gonna throw this, yeah. If the purpose of posting is to get work, why does it matter how many views or likes you get?
It doesn't really. It just no, not specifically. Not like well, again, like you said, you just want the right people to see it. So it
Okay.
doesn't need to be.
And then if that's true, it doesn't matter how many likes or views you get, and the purpose of posting is
Wow.
to increase your visibility,
Yeah.
to increase the chances of getting more work. Why aren't you
Yeah.
posting more?
Yeah. Don't have an answer. There's no excuse why.
And you're not immune to this.
Mm.
I have this myself. I'm like, I've got to make a post, or I don't really want to post this, or even myself, I post stuff and I'm like, you didn't get as many views as some of the other videos, but it doesn't matter, because every time you're putting something up there, that's another swing at, for like a baseball metaphor, that's another swing at getting a home run or another opportunity that gets you somewhere. But the thing with social media is you don't have 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
And it's free. So why wouldn't you?
I guess the worst thing that happens is you're just in the exact same position you're in anyway. Like,
Worst thing. And do you know what the joke is? We spend so much time doing music. I refuse to believe that any musician can't find content to post. You're just not pressing record.
Yeah, I totally understand the point we're going across, and like, it's definitely better than not posting anything at all, just hoping you'll get work someday. But like, as I've been on the internet a long time, and a lot of people who've cracked it, who basically made it, will tell you that, will basically have said, and will probably tell you that no matter for some people, no matter how much work or how many hours you put in, you're not guaranteed.
No one's
success.
guaranteed it. No one is
anything.
guaranteed it.
Yeah.
There are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that we wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
The question is, if you don't think it's gonna happen for you, like if you believe it's not gonna happen for you, why even try in the first place?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you don't believe, because what we do is we take these kind of thoughts and reasons we have for not doing something or things that hold us back, and like, if we actually break it down and look into it, okay, like, is this a real reason that should stop me? Yeah, and if it is a real reason, then we might as well forget the whole thing of trying to pursue a career in music and just do it for fun. And that's okay too. I think this is a big conversation I've had with a lot of people as well. Like, it's like, there is no shame or failure in doing music for fun, or doing it for a couple gigs here and there, and doing something else for income. If I could tell you the amount of professional gigging musicians or big artists right now that are doing some kind of other work just because they've got a flexible arrangement or they have passions in other things, like, it's way more than you think. And to be honest, it makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense, because I know people that are coders, they like code side projects, or like working with companies like Facebook and stuff like that. Or I've got one friend, a drummer in particular, he does tech sales. And he has a night at Ronnie's, he's touring internationally with jazz fusion artists. But by day he's a tech sales artist. He's making good money too.
Yeah.
He's making very good money. So I hope this is starting to break through a couple limiting beliefs that, one, stopping you posting. Yeah. And then also, like, one of the best things you can do as a student who's just about to graduate is get a job so you don't have to worry about your bills. I didn't do this when I left. No, that's a lie. I did it. I quit it because I got an opportunity. And then after that kind of tour ended, what I should have done was get something else again. But I tried to push through. And the amount of stress of trying to make everything work gig by gig like that, it takes its toll on you, and you end up, there's a point where you want to say yes to everything, and then there's a point where that's not helpful. And the issue of saying yes to everything after a certain point is that it closes you off to other opportunities. So, but if you've got like, the key is finding something that's got a bit of flexibility in, yeah, and that takes some trial and error, and I can't tell you what that's going to be, because it looks like the market changes every 3 months at this point right now. But if you do that, then you're not stressed about money. Honestly, I think in 2025, the higher percentage of likelihood of success would be to, this doesn't mean that you should do it and then come to me and be like, Caleb, it didn't work. There's no guarantees. But would be to sort your rent through something that is not music, unless you've got a stable source within music that you can do that with. And double down on the content and networking sides. Like, still be doing all the gigs, still be pushing for the gigs, you know. Realistically, most gigs happen weekends and evenings anyway. So, actually, yeah, there's going to be some conflict, of course there is, but it's not going to be as bad as you think. And for many people in this room, that will be a more mentally manageable position than just being like, forget all of this, I'm just doing music, and you don't already have music income coming in. It's different if you live at home. If you live at home, go balls to the wall on the music, and but actually do it. And I think that's it too, because I have this conversation with myself. If you knew the amount of times I said, oh yeah, I'm getting consistent with YouTube, and I've done a few and it hasn't happened. So this year again, I said to myself, I'm getting consistent with YouTube, and I've got a few things queued up, but this year I'm looking to make it actually happen. But it's like we say these things, right? We say these things, oh yeah, I've gone 100%, but have you? Have you actually, or have you been caught in your head? And you know, it's not your fault. You're not a bad person for being caught in your head. It's like social media's set up that way. It's had billions of dollars spent on it to make it addictive and tapping into the kind of deepest, darkest parts of psychology for that. But use social media instead of social media using you. That's what I say. You're gonna be on it anyway. Let's be real. You're gonna be on it anyway, so
Why not?
but yeah, if you're not being seen, you can't. Just doesn't work. The skill level is, I view all of these four as multipliers, by the way. They're not addition, they're multipliers. So every slight percentage you get better at one of these four multiplies the results that you get. The skill level thing is like that's probably biggest one to you're always going to be working on that. I look at that now, like in my circles now, there are far better bass players than myself, far better. Doesn't stop me getting work though.
Yeah.
So then the third part is, it's all okay, you got the skill level thing sorted, you're now you're being seen, but you still need people to give you the work, right? So I call it being recommended for easy memory, but this is all about your network. This is all about multiplying the likelihood of opportunities finding you. In this industry, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna find the opportunity. The opportunity will find you. Have you guys deeped that yet? Has that actually clicked? You're not gonna go on Indeed and find looking for guitarists for this. There is one place I will shout out for you guys all now, that as musicians who are already gigging and want to be gigging more for paid gigs, that is DepSap. That is a great place in terms of building your circle and getting paid more, because I think it's one of the biggest like UK networks of musicians who are doing like function stuff, and it could be all sorts of things, but it's actually paid work for one. And they just basically put out a big WhatsApp group, and they need people last minute. For most people in this room, the way you get into new circles and new work and new opportunities is you're going to be a last minute cover. So I got in, and I got in to doing the Paralympics gig, where I played with Sugar Babes, Craig David, H, Katie Baser. There was a couple others, but I was the house band for it, and it was on Channel 4. I got into that through the husband of someone who sings on my function band. And then from that same tour I did there, I've just finished doing the Sydney Christmas tour, and Sydney Christmas is the winner of Britain's Got Talent last year. All through a function band, through one gig, and I got on that function band from a dep. Gig. And this is, you will never know where the opportunity is going to come from. I got the Emily Sandé gig through CBeebies of all places. So we were the house band on a show called Yolanda's Band Jam, We had different artists come on there. So technically, I played with Beverly Knight and Feeder, but on CBeebies. But it still counts in my book. But then one of the bands, I think it was for Shingai, I never know how to say her name, from the Noisettes. She came on with her band and did a song, a CB-ified version. And the drummer, turns out, was an old acquaintance of mine. And he was working for a fixing company now. So he's like, oh yeah, we'll have to get you in for auditions. And probably about a year later, I got called for an audition. I'll tell you about this actually, because it's not all sunshines and rainbows. I stacked this first audition, completely stacked it, right? It was for an artist called Grace Carter, which you may or may not be familiar with, but it was just a situation I wasn't prepared for. On the email, I got an email for the tracks for bass and guitar. Yeah. So obviously I'm a bassist. They know I'm a bassist. So I get to the audition. I pull up to the audition, and I've got the bass on my back. It's like, oh great! Is your guitar in the car? I'm like, exactly. Come again. I'm here for bass. It's like, no, it's, oh man, he's like, oh man, it's bass and guitar. I'm like, oh, I thought this was an email sent out to, because these emails do go out to multiple people. I didn't, turns out I'm supposed to learn bass and guitar. Really weird setup, but that happens more and more these days where budget reasons, people are combining or consolidating bands where sometimes in these, especially for like upcoming pop artists, now sometimes there'll be one or two members of the band have to play multiple instruments. Maybe you're playing bass in one song and a bit of keys in another. That doesn't mean you should go out and learn that because of that, but if you've got that skill set, to advertise it with the content. Because people don't see that, and this is the thing too, it's like, if people don't see, like for example, I do a bit of upright bass. If I don't have upright bass videos on my channel, I'm not going to get hired for upright bass. And I think where, as a student, one place, time is running. One place we go wrong is we look at people who have made it, we look at their social media, and look at that as a model to follow, and it's the worst thing you can do. One of the worst things you can do, because that's not what got them to the point that got them to blow and get all the connections. They weren't doing what they're doing. Now they got budget and ad money to spend. They don't need to post the same way. You can't run those same strategies. You know? So, we have to get recommended, we have to be recommendable. There's a theory of a circle of influence of 250 people. Yeah? Which is why you never rule out anybody. You be nice, and I mean ultimately it boils down to being a good person anyway, yeah, but that makes a world of difference for keeping gigs and getting recommended for more stuff, seriously, because you spend a lot of time with these people on extended working projects, and I've seen people lose gigs for just, not even that they did anything wrong, they just weren't particularly pleasant, yeah, or even the flip side of it is, it could be that they just, after the gig has finished or rehearsal's finished, just every time they went straight to their room. Like, I'll save you a lot of time. The hang is part of the job. Doesn't mean you have to drink. Doesn't mean you have to, I mean, people hear crazy stories of like tour buses and drugs and stuff on the road these days. That don't happen. I mean, some bands it definitely still does, but like the way people talk about it, you got to tour, you got to stay well for the run of the show. These days, everyone's coming with their supplements, supplements and Huel shakes. Honestly, it's seriously the way it's going at the moment. But yeah, you can lose a gig just by not being present on it. So there was a point I was going to make, but ultimately, being recommended, being a good, that's it. Every person you know has a average rough sphere of influence of about 250 people. So rather than go to each person, if you go to jam nights, for example, rather than, hey, I'm a guitarist, I'm a bass player, I would love to, I'm looking for work, I'd love to work. I'm never going to hire anyone like that. I don't know you. And the stakes are too high for me to use someone I've never known and don't have any recommendations from. However, you just meet me as a normal person, and then I don't know, you follow me on socials, I follow you on socials. Now, in a business term, I'm in your funnel. Your social media is your funnel and your marketing. So now every person that, if you follow and you're engaging with them and they kind of, that they've met you and all that, not everyone's going to follow you back, fine. But if this is people you've had an in-person connection with and you're both musicians and stuff like that, chances are, more than not, they're going to follow you back. Now they're in your funnel. Now your social media is like an email list. And every time you post, you're reminding people that you exist and that you play. And it's like a free advertisement that you're a musician available for hire. And every person you meet, you're expanding that, but it's not one person you're adding. It's 250, because that person is hearing of opportunities around them. And as they grow to know and like and trust you, they may just hit you up or send something your way. Or they share, one thing I've seen a lot is they share something from someone in their circle. To say someone in their circle is looking for a guitarist, bass player. They'll share that person's story. Be like, this person's looking for a guitarist or bass player. And obviously the better you know that person is, the more likely they are to actually recommend you when that comes across. And the beauty of recommendations is, if you get work through recommendations, 9 times out of 10 you don't have to audition. You skip all of that. Yeah, this is the key on building something more sustainable. It's a wheel you're building, it's a momentum you're building. You focus on growing the network of people that will find the opportunities for you. But in order for that to work, you have to have presented yourself as a good enough person and shown and demonstrated the skill sets to a level for them to want to recommend you. Yeah? So that's third in terms of getting recommended. And the fourth one is getting called back. This is everything that happens after you've actually got your foot in the door and you get that first opportunity. So the long and short of it is smash the opportunity out of the park, and do you make other people's jobs easier? Especially the people paying you, or the people who are going to book you again. Yeah? If you make their life difficult, serious? Where's the gig again? Can you resend me that job? How long does it take to get there? Like, if you don't have those details, fine, that's not what I'm saying, but like, this is about using your initiative on certain things. Like, don't be the one to be constantly asking unnecessary questions. Yeah, better clarify everything. I don't want my words to get misconstrued here. Clarify everything and get all the details you need. But like, if they give you the venue name, and a postcode or something like that, like, Google the venue. Google Maps or Waze how long it's going to take you to get there, and get the train before the train you need to catch. Get to the gig. I tell you, I have a thing about being late. Because this is the ideal situation is when you're now gigging, that gig that you're saying yes to should be enough for you to not say yes to anything else that day. That's how I want you to start looking at it. It's not going to happen immediately, but mentally that's how you want to be treating it. So that actually, for example, I'm based in the Midlands, and Friday I had a gig in Surrey for Jaguar Land Rover. I left at 12 a.m. Not 12 a.m, 12 p.m, midday. I'm not that crazy. And, I just took a slow drive down, had a coffee kind of nearby and a bit of a meal, because one thing I've decided for myself is that if you hire me, you're not going to have to worry about me being there or whether I've learned the stuff or not. Yeah, I'm a safe pair of hands. Yeah, this, you get that down, along with the playing side too. And the thing is, if you get that down and you can hold down the gig, maybe you're not even the best player, but the fact that you're just solidly reliable and they know if they call you for the gig, everyone's going to be happy and that gig is going to happen. You will get more work and you'll get recommended. This is the model, and then everything else is just tuning your like ears and eyes to listen out for opportunities, listen out to conversations, actually talk to the people in this room, because in 5 years' time, one of them might have a gig that changes your entire career for you. And they might not even be on it themselves. They might just know the person who and put you forward for it. And I'm saying this because it's happened. It's happened way too many times for me and to too many people that I know for that to be the case. So we've got 5 minutes. Any questions? I was hoping to have more Q&A, but I had to get that off my chest.
So with your covers, yeah, was it stuff that you really enjoyed playing, or was it stuff that you thought?
Both.
Okay.
Both. If I'm playing a song and I want to play a song, I'm gonna record me playing it.
Was it a full cover that you were doing on YouTube and stuff, or was it just like a?
At the time, it was Instagram. So, and this is the thing too. You only need 20 seconds. Most people aren't going to watch the full 20 seconds, so why are you spending all that effort doing, like, don't get me wrong, it's great, do the full song covers, but what we're saying here is that as a marketing strategy, 'cause that's how I view this, it's very intentional, I'm just showing you that I'm a player that is about and can play, can hold down the gig.
Would you say that like the presentability of how you're framing things, but also like maybe like not necessarily making your posts as try hard as possible, essentially, like making it like showcasing your genuine skill set, but not like posting like so far out of your reach that you end up maybe potentially burning yourself out on the post because you're pushing yourself so hard.
Yeah, you got to work to where you're at.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I want to get across is that most people I speak to massively overthinking it to the point that it stops them posting anything. And I'm like, just get 20 seconds of you playing. Like you, hopefully at this point you guys all have songs to learn, right? Whether it's through your studies or other gigs that you're doing. So I'm like, just record you playing some of that.
Yeah.
Find 20 good seconds.
Would you ever think that it's like good to focus maybe on a like a specified niche, especially, or
Could be.
would you
It depends what you want to do.
or diversifying them? Well, I guess like if you're like for instance trying to go into a session market or like a dev bit or anything along those lines, like being more willing to play music that you're not necessarily vibing with, but you have to deal with it, like if you are just trying to get work.
Okay. I'm going to try and pick an extreme example. What I will say is, ultimately, you don't want to do work that you hate.
Yeah.
If there's no point optimizing to get session work and then it be in a field or genre that you can't stand or don't want to work. To me, that doesn't make sense. But let's say, I'll use me as an example. I come from a gospel background, so gospel, reggae, neo soul, all of that stuff. That's my strong suit. Every now and then, but I've also done a lot of work in theatre now. So I was on a West End show for 2 years and did that show in America, the same show for 4 months. And so every now and then, you'll see me post up a piece of theatre related content. Like, let's say I didn't even have the theatre show, but every now and then I might do something like that. I've got versatility. You know, and that's the thing. Like, if you sit here going, I only want to play on this style of music, and that's all I care about, and I don't want to do anything else, fine, do that. It will limit you in terms of the sorts of stuff you can get, but if you know you don't want to do anything else, why would you try and optimize for that?
I suppose it's how successful Netflix would be if they only did rom-coms.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But the other thing with that is that unless you got Netflix kind of budget,
Well, yeah.
you know, to get the shows on board and promote the stuff.
But then would you say, like, having done stuff in different genres, that there are things in them that you've picked up that you wouldn't have picked up
100%.
otherwise?
Yeah, it's
So
always great to
You're just
diversify.
broadening your skill set.
100%. 100%. It's definitely worth diversifying. But if you're thinking, I really don't like something, but you're gonna do it because, like, content wise, yeah. I mean, we're all in different places, and I guess it depends how open the frame of mind is that question is coming from in the first place. Because to me, what I hear is what I hear when you say that is, I'm gonna do like 4 weeks of a metal piece, for example, or metal related pieces to diversify. Me personally, I might post more rock stuff and heavier on that, but I'm unlikely to ever do like metal covers. Yeah, just because that's not my niche. Yeah, and I'm that's probably not a peak I'm gonna have. Yeah, but that's not to say I've not learnt the songs. It's not to say I've not ever played metal songs, and I've done it. But for me, I wouldn't optimize that way in terms of my content. Yeah, but absolutely learn it. Go through it. Play all the stuff. I think for drummers and bass players as well, Latin. If you get solid at Latin, you will be groovy. Yeah. Latin's got the secret sauce for rhythmic focused instruments. But yeah. Right. We are pretty much there. Any burning questions?
How often would you recommend to post throughout a week?
As much as you can.
Okay.
At this stage. Oh, how quickly do you want to get work?
Fair enough.
And this is if I don't have gigs, if I and it's different for me now because I've built the network at this point in time. So if I'm starting again as a student, I would be doing like, if I could, I'd be doing like three posts a day. Because I've seen, I feel like an evangelist now. Like I've seen the way. I've seen things. The opportunities that can come these days. You just like if you can get out of your head and just. I'm not saying social media is going to solve all your problems. You still have to do everything else, but it's a multiplier. And me, I'm trying to multiply the results as much as possible, and that's also the thing with the multiplier is you got a really bad product in the first place, you'd be multiplying negatively. Yeah. So I'm not saying it is all upside. Most of you are overthinking it. Like 99% of the people I speak to, and I look at the content, and I'm like, there's your 20 seconds. What's wrong with that? Because I think where most of you will be at, will be that there may be one or two people where actually maybe it does need tweaking and it does need a bit of work and actually go back to the drawing board. But my argument would be that 6 months of doing that and actually forcing yourself to put it up there, if you actually stuck to the 6 months of doing that, you would improve on a skill level way faster. Just from having to do it. That's extreme. But I'm confident in that working to develop the skill set and put you in a place to do it. But again, it's not a magic fix. You're not going to post and then all of a sudden opportunities start pouring in. You're almost never going to get an opportunity from someone that doesn't know you unless it's a last minute cover. So get on Depths apps, because the first thing that will happen if you respond to that message is they'll check out your Instagram. That's it. To be continued on a later stage. You can find me on Instagram at _official_C, and then keep in touch that way. But yeah, any more questions, stuff like that, I'll be hanging around today and more than happy to chat. Great stuff. I think there's another one happening now across the road, so we'll head to that. Not across the road, across the road.